Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include the unending hell that Bethesda finds itself in because of Fallout 76, Blizzard's official response to fans about Diablo Immortal, and a roundup on some other action RPG news. As always, timestamps can be found in the video description. And right before we dive into it, be sure to have rang the sub-notification bell to be alerted of new Saturday episodes. So we've previously covered how Fallout 76 has not been met with very positive reviews. Apart from it being a different game than what fans wanted, it's also just not a very well-polished game for what it is. People complain about it being buggy, not having enough content, and there's just generally a lot of bad press surrounding this game right now. And it seems as a result, a lot of people are just not buying the game, to the point that a lot of retailers are heavily discounting it already after it only being out for a couple of weeks. At certain retailers, you can get this game for over 50% off, which now has upset people that paid full price for the game, because had they just waited another week or so, they'd be able to get it at a big discount. Many players who bought Fallout 76 were trying to get a refund because of how buggy the game was, but weren't able to because they, quote, downloaded the game. Yep, the reason they were quoted for being unable to refund the game was because they had already downloaded it. Then a law firm reached out to these gamers hoping to file a class action lawsuit against Bethesda for, quote, deceptive trade practices because they released a game that was buggy beyond what is normally acceptable as release buggy states of games, coupled with the fact that many players were unable to receive refunds. So as this smoldering dumpster fire of a situation just grew brighter and stinkier, Bethesda started replying on Reddit with copy-pasted canned responses, stuff along the lines of, "Thank you for your feedback, we're reading all your comments, blah blah blah." And once the community realized that these were literally copy-pasted, they weren't just similar messages, they were literally the same message copy-pasted, that just added more fuel to this fire. And understandably, because not only did Bethesda create this situation, but this copy-pasted canned response felt like a slap in the face, just rubbing salt in the wounds, because it's like, well, can't even be bothered to write a personalized message. But firefighters were called in 3 days ago when Bethesda put out a more personalized message to the community. In this message, they started off by saying, quote, "We know you're frustrated and angry at the state of things right now, whether it's the issues you're running into in the game or the lack of communication about fixes, updates, or news." The post later goes on to say, "We didn't want you to think the silence meant nothing was happening. We're sorry and understand this was not the right approach, and we'll work to make a better bridge between you and the dev team at Bethesda Game Studios." The post then went on to communicate the things that the team is currently working on, rough timelines, and they stated that they want to deliver weekly updates to the community on what's going on. And this message was well received by the community. It was a degree of openness and forthcoming and a step towards better communication, which I think, as we're seeing in general, is something that is very important in the industry right now. Gamers are growing ever more tired about growing disconnects in communication between gamers and developers. And a lot of AAA companies are having difficulty crossing over to being very well communicative. Now, I wish we could end the story there on a positive note, but the fire rages on. A story began to emerge concerning the collector's edition of Fallout 76, which runs you about $200. Called the Power Armor Edition, it comes with a fancy helmet, and what is supposed to be a canvas bag to hold it in. Well, reports began to emerge that the bag was not in fact canvas, but the much cheaper material, nylon, which both looks, feels, and wears, as in wears out, differently than canvas. Now, while this may seem like a minor thing, it's false advertising. So Redditor Alexander DeLarge reached out to Bethesda for comment and received an email reply stating, "Due to unavailability of materials, we had to switch to a nylon carrying case in the collector's edition. We hope this doesn't prevent anyone from enjoying what we feel is one of our best collector's editions." Now, another individual, Lantern Cupcake, also reached out to Bethesda complaining about the bag and received the following response: "We are sorry that you aren't happy with the bag. The bag shown in the media was a prototype and was too expensive to make. We aren't planning on doing anything about it." I would hate to be a Bethesda community manager right now, just going into work every day, having to wonder, oh god, what now? What now? Sorry that you were stupid enough to believe that you were buying the product that we advertised and not a cheaper, shittier product that we actually delivered. Sorry that we're not going to give you a refund or any kind of real compensation, or even are going to change our advertisements. They still have it listed as a canvas bag. People could still be buying this thinking it's a canvas bag. Now, I'm no law expert here, but is this not false advertising? The product is explicitly listed as a canvas bag and no attempt has been made to correct this. Now, the story doesn't end there. Thankfully, their statement of we aren't planning on doing anything about it turned out to be false. Because the next day, Bethesda put out a public tweet stating, "We understand and respect that there is disappointment with the bag in the Power Armor Edition. We are sorry. Please contact us to provide proof of your purchase. They will assist in granting your account 500 atoms." This tweet linked to a lengthier post in which they elaborated, "We're also aware of a ridiculous and inaccurate response that some of our fans received via email after contacting the Bethesda Gear Store. The person that sent those emails was a temporary contractor, not an official spokesperson for Bethesda, and they did not have information about this situation when they sent out those emails." So clearly this is in reference to we aren't going to do anything about it. The post goes on to say, again, "We're sorry. We are in the process of going back through our approval processes, both for what items go into a collector's edition as well as how support for our physical store is provided. We will do better in the future." And again, they were offering 500 atoms to anyone who bothered to go through the arduous process of providing proof that they bought a collector's edition. Now, to put 500 atoms in perspective, because you probably don't know what that means, that is the in-game, the virtual in-game currency that you use to buy microtransactions. And it amounts to $5 worth of microtransaction money that cannot be used on anything else in real life. And those 500 atoms don't actually buy you all that much in the microtransaction shop. So you've paid $200 for this collector's edition, and they're giving you back $5 worth of Monopoly money that you can't really do much with, and in fact will just serve to incentivize you to buy more Monopoly money so that you can actually buy something that you want. They're couponing. This doesn't come across as genuine. This just seems like it's a way to scam people into spending more money in their microtransaction shop. I mean, it's virtual currency here. Why do they have to be stingy? Why not make it $50? What does it change for them? These are your most devoted fans. They spent $200 on a freaking collector's edition. So anyway, that's the big update on Fallout 76 this week. I look forward to seeing what we have to report next week, because every time we think this situation can't get any worse, something more comes out. Alright, on to action RPG news, starting with Path of Exile. Now, Path of Exile is playable on PC and Xbox One, and recently, GGG revealed a PS4 version coming. They have now stated that there would be a delay. It was originally planned to launch in December, but now that is being pushed back to February. And this delay has to do with the PS4 certification process occurring during December. It's really crunch time. It's a very busy time for the industry, so it seems they're just not going to be able to meet the deadline. They said they could probably do it for January, but they didn't want to have to then delay it again, so they're going for a February window in order to be safe. As a reminder, Betrayal League starts December 7th, and revealed this week was the new Atlas, because they've rearranged the Atlas, so we have new maps in different tiers now. And while it's great that there's a new Atlas, a lot of players are disheartened by the tier 15 maps being some of the least fun maps in the game. Now, with less than a week before the league starts, I want to ask you folks, if you are planning to play the new league, have you selected a build yet, and if so, which do you want to run? In other action RPG news, Wolcen is currently going through a multiplayer beta testing period. I have a video that I put up yesterday with my impressions of the Wolcen multiplayer beta. Go check that out if you haven't. In other news, Torchlight Frontiers, their second technical alpha, will be starting on December 7th. That is bad timing. Come on, Path of Exile League is starting then. In the case of Torchlight Frontiers, this is an invite-only alpha. There will be ways to acquire codes, however, we just don't know what those ways are yet, but stay tuned. On to Diablo news. The Diablo 3 PTR ended. It lasted a week. During that week, we didn't see any changes, no balance patches happening or any kind of patch happening at all throughout the PTR, so if there are further changes that'll happen, looks like that's going to happen on live servers. There are some builds that seem questionably OP. Inna's might be a little bit too strong, for instance. We're still a whiles away from Season 16. Season 15 is ending on December 16th, most likely, and we don't know the start date yet for Season 16, but I think early January is a pretty safe bet, because the only other real opportunity would be December 21st, because they're not going to do it later in December during the Christmas holidays. And if the season ends on the 16th, that's a very short turnaround from 16th to 21st for the new season. It's possible, but I think an early January start is more likely. In other Diablo news, we finally got the official word, the official and final word, it seems, from Blizzard on the whole Diablo Immortal Fiasco. This is the message that we received. Quote, "We continue to read feedback and our internal discussions are ongoing. We have many plans for Diablo across multiple projects, which we'll be revealing over the course of the coming year. We are eager to share more about all of our projects, but some will have to wait as we prefer to show you rather than tell you about them. It's going to take some time as we strive to meet your expectations, but now, more than ever, we are committed to delivering Diablo experiences the community can be proud of." And it's signed, the Diablo teams. Now, overall, this is not a very satisfying response, but I think it's roughly what was expected. Thinking about it, I'm not sure if anything would have been really satisfying as a response. Anything that they could reasonably tell us. I'm sure a lot of people wanted them to say, we're canceling Diablo Immortal, but that's obviously not going to happen. I do, however, wonder if they should have gone a little bit more with the Bethesda route of actually apologizing, if that would have made things any better. Now, unless I've missed it, I don't believe I've seen across any of the limited messaging we've received since BlizzCon any form of apologetic statement or admission of some degree of culpability. You know, something like, we're sorry for the way we chose to present and reveal Diablo Immortal and understand how it made our diehard fans feel disrespected. We hope that you'll give us a chance to make it up to you. Something like that. I don't know. Do you folks think that would have made things better? Would it have made things worse? Or would it have not changed anything at all? Because the one concerning thing here is that without any apologetic statement, it seems like, well, we didn't do anything wrong. And if that is the attitude, then I don't know that the relationship between the devs and the community could really heal. What we have effectively is, now forgive the analogy, but a parent and a child who've gone into a fight. The parent promised the child they'd be going to Disneyland, but instead brought them to the dentist. The child then said, "F you, Dad," and that was the child's first real big F-bomb, and now everyone is hurt and upset, and the parent doesn't want to apologize for disappointing and misleading the child because they're too offended by that swear. But the parent is the parent. The parent is the one that needs to take the first step towards reconciliation. Otherwise, nothing's going to heal. And lastly, another Diablo news, we have some interesting info come out of an interview conducted by the Diablo subreddit mods, iBleedOrange and Menegeese, with Wyatt Chang about Diablo Immortal. Now, before you tune out, this isn't just about Diablo Immortal, but also helps inform our impression of how Diablo 4 is being developed. What Wyatt said in the interview, quote, was, "Set items are not currently planned for Diablo Immortal." And the team is a little split on this, along with the community with Diablo 3. Right now, we don't have any set items and don't have plans for them. Right now, we plan to stick with legendaries and legendary effects, and once we get further along in development and have more playtesting done, we'll see. When we talk to people that love sets, they feel like being given a mini quest where they have 1 out of 6, then 2 out of 6. It's fun to have that direction. But other people would argue that it takes away from being able to define your own playstyle. We know that itemization is a huge part of Diablo. We want to make sure we put in enough time to make the experience right. We are not just looking at Diablo 3. We are looking at the other Diablo games to see which systems make sense, but we can't have all of them or else that overloads the experience and it becomes too much. We need to pick the systems that make sense, iterate on them, and then put them in. Now, I've been very vocal about not liking the fact that Diablo 3's endgame revolves all around 6-piece sets, so I do like that there is some kind of internal discussion going on the Diablo teams about this. And that's going to wrap up this week's video. But in case you haven't seen it, be sure to have checked out last week's video, where we talk about how Blizzard sent lawyers to target a Path of Exile prankster. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch and Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider becoming a Royal Raider on Patreon, where your support is immensely appreciated. We've got a variety of backer rewards, including behind the scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more gaming content.